Alright, after reviewing the original video footage of this, I realized I had to go back and really address this part of it. In no way am I condoning someone holding onto a horse and whipping the crap out of them to correct them. Everything, nor am I condoning correcting a horse in a closed-in stall or in cross ties. I always got a horse when I'm doing trim work, I got him on a 12-foot lead rope. And if I do any correcting, I've got enough where I can allow that horse to get 12 feet away from me. See, and like I mentioned, it's a fight or flight thing. So if you're restricting the flight, be prepared for the fight. The other thing I don't do is address horses in the face. Only on one condition, is when it comes to biting. Horses that bite, and if you've never been aggressively bitten by a horse, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not talking about slapping, because slapping only encourages this. You watch geldings out in the field. They try to start to sneak in bites, see who can bite who before the other one bites them. It becomes a game for them. I'm talking seriously bad behavior where that horse is gonna put a bite on you. So, and since I've owned horses, and this is the first one I've ever had to do that with because she was food aggressive. But understand this, she was near the barn, not in a stall, just out and free. And when she became food aggressive like that, what I did was a flat out punch right in this area. And I mean a flat out, pretty much all I got, punch in the nose, right in the soft cartilage. And since I've been working with horses, I've only had to do that about 5 times. What creates a lot of this bad behavior is addressing a horse in the face, and that's the other reason why in my training I never address and push the front away by using head and neck. It's more than likely it's that front shoulder and that front foot that's coming to you. So even in that video of defensive leading to aggression, you never got to see that horse get aggressive with me because of the fact I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt of addressing him in the face. I can guarantee you, if I addressed that horse in the face, he was ready to fight. And that's why you see the little bit that you did see, I held here and here, never looking up at his face, and I addressed the front foot. Because that was his first maneuver in defensive, is to step in here with this, because he's been addressed in the face. So thank God it never got to that. But I've had a few horse owners that have told me that, well, my horse doesn't like that. Well, I don't like the fact of your horse stepping in with his shoulder, and then when I do address him over here, he starts to give me that ugly look that he's gonna bite me. I know this horse is gonna bite me. Like I said, after you handle enough horses, you know what's coming next before it happens. And I warned the woman, and she says, well, I don't have to. All I say is, I said, yeah, but what happens after that? Well, he does it again. Well, then you never become effective with him. So, I could see that we aren't seeing eye to eye on this. So, hey, I'm not here to correct your horse. I'm not here to get stepped on, and I'm not here to get bitten by him either. And I had one other customer They probably didn't realize the fact, but when I addressed the horse like this and I stood up, that horse looked right at me and viciously came at me with his nose, teeth, towards my face. Well, the next time that horse put his nose near me, front-wise, I clocked him. Needless to say, I don't trim that horse anymore, and I don't see that owner anymore. That's fine with me. If you didn't see what happened, or you only saw what I did to the horse, even though I explained it, I don't really care. You're not paying my ass to be here for your horse to hurt or maim me, and I'm not here to hurt or maim your horse. But biting is a pretty severe issue, and that horse there, I never had to address anymore. It stood fine. It wasn't going to move. Basically, that horse just told me, I'm not going to move, and if you try that again, I'll give you some of these. And it was very close with those teeth. So I let him know that you put that nose near me again, this is what you're going to get. And I got effective. I mean, a lot of people have seen me trim horses and have to thunk that leg pretty hard. I mean, flat out kick it pretty hard. Several times. That's because the horse keeps coming in like a yo-yo. You got 12 feet to get away from me. And if they'll get away and stay away, I'll go, yeah, there. And then I'll relax and calmly try to go back to my business. But if that thing keeps coming in like a yo-yo, you know, you throw it out and it comes back, you haven't become effective. Believe me, most of these horses, once you do that a few times with them, and like I say, you don't thunk them any harder than you have to. If I always start out kind of light with it, but if it keeps coming back, well, I'm going to kick it harder, and I'm going to kick it harder, and I'm going to kick it harder until that horse either gets away or wants to run away. So if I'm in a safe enough area, and that horse, the 12 feet isn't long enough, well, I'll flat out let him go. But I just want to make sure that's understood, that you just don't, you have no right to stand there and beat the crap out of a horse. But you certainly have the right to defend your space and your safety. But you got to give that horse the opportunity to get away from that too. So I just wanted to make that part clear. You know, and this, like I said, this is the first horse I ever had to do it to. But I'll tell you one thing, I did it one time. And that was it. Never happened again. Food aggression totally diminished. You know, some people ask me about correcting a horse and how much is too much. I'll kind of explain it this way, and I'll give you the least amount and the worst amount. You know, one being very sensitive horse, 10 being very, very difficult and dull. So this would be one, very sensitive. See, just a string there. But see, anytime I can get that body to just move like that, and see the post is hardly even moving. I mean, it doesn't take much to get the back or the front to move on it. 10 would be like this wall. So, I mean, if you got a horse that's real sensitive like this, well, it's not going to need much of a correction. If you pay attention to what you feel, you don't have to correct a horse like this very hard. And that wall, well, holy crap. I mean, I don't care if I got to go get a skid steer, because when you're pushing on that wall and it's not moving, next thing you know, you feel that wall setting down on top of you. If you need a skid steer to straighten that horse out, by all means go get one. I'm not talking about maiming or leaving marks on the horse. And a lot of this I'm referring to in my farrier work. Some people will see me get after a horse pretty firm. I don't care if when it's my safety and what that horse is doing to me is going to hurt me. That horse is going to get corrected. The other thing is though I don't correct them in cross ties because it's a fight or flight deal. And if I do correct a horse and they do want to fight because they're online, but I'll never restrict them online. If that horse is that difficult, I'm all done. I just turn the horse loose. You know, the horse needs training then. I mean, I do the amount of kind of the training on it. I mean, but when I'm doing farrier work and people go, "Whoa, he slapped my horse with the rasp." If it's a slap, it's a slap. I'm not talking about using the sharp edge, but you got to understand one thing. The farrier's stuck there. He's got tools in his hand. You know, if he's in a predicament where you got to do something right away, you really don't have time. By the time you pitch your tool away, it's too late. The correction needs to happen right away. So if anybody has trouble with me touching their horse or whatever, which a lot of people do, that's fine. It's not my job. I'm there to trim your horse's feet. I'm not there to be correcting your horse all the time. I really have no desire to. I do it a lot of times when people understand what I'm doing, or I try to show like new customers what they should be doing when the horse does stuff like that. And if they understand it, that's great. If they don't understand it, I'm all done. Because most of the time I do a lot of that stuff without charging people. But because of the factor of people never going and doing this stuff, I've learned to change my song a bit. So now when I go in, if I got to do a fair amount of correcting, I'm going to charge it. You know, it shouldn't take no more than 20 minutes to trim a small standard size horse. You know, providing that horse behaves. If the horse doesn't behave, and every time that horse doesn't behave, you got to correct. Somebody has to correct it. There's no sense to keep doing the same thing without somebody correcting it. So if I'm there, I'm going to correct it because it's only going to make my life easier. I'm not there to struggle with your horse, and I'm not there to correct your horse. I'm there to trim it, and that's it. But even my own horses, I don't care. There's times when they're distracted or whatever. If they do something wrong, they're going to get corrected. And if the horse is this light, that's the kind of correction it's going to get. If a horse is that dull, first off, he won't be living here. And if he is living here, and I'd say he was that dull. He isn't that dull anymore. It's a point of, when you got a horse like that, it's a point of becoming understood and learning how to be effective to be understood. See, to be understood, you got to be effective, and to be effective, you got to be understood. So, a horse like that is what I call a whack-em horse. And I have no problem whacking a horse like that, because that kind of horse is going to hurt somebody. I don't care if he's just sitting on you. If he's sitting on you and you're trying to hold him up, you're going to hurt something. The horse needs to be corrected.